Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight I am going to do my civic duty and try my darndest to show Jean Bart drivers really, Jean Bart captains that you are allowed to move. And I will explain. So we're on Estuary, one of the smallest maps in the game, which means this map in particular is least likely to have an aggressive battleship. However, I'm going to show that just like anything else, you can do it as long as you have a game plan. So, without further ado, let's get this party started. Now, we are in a Jean Bart. What is my build? That's one of the #1 things that I get asked. Most of my ships, I have a build, or a meet the ship, and it has the build in it, so go check that out. I've got an entire playlist devoted to all of the ships with meet those, so yeah, go check those out if you haven't already. This, however, is Robert Jajard, and it's a full dispersion build. Okay, the reason I do that is because the more shots that you have that hit in this thing, the more likely you are to absolutely devastate people. Trust me, it's devastating. It's ridiculous. This armor piercing in this thing is probably the best in the game when it comes to battleships. It doesn't overpin as much as most of the other battleships, and when it does hit, it seems to hit like an absolute freight train, even though it's smaller caliber than some of the other guns. So you can see, we gotta take our first shot at the turrets. We realized that we should have a chance to actually hit them, even though we didn't wait for the game, and we get a pretty good result, 7,200 damage, not bad for a first salvo. Now this Colorado is coming out, and as you can see, we already have a smoke screen ahead. Well, smoke screen can mean many things nowadays. It's not just for the likes of destroyers, but we notice and we are going to be ready for that. I am going to continue to push forward. We are going to try to win our side. And that's one thing I try to stress to people, especially battleship captains. Win your side, okay? I don't ask a lot out of people. Just win your side. Quit trying to go to the other side. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, guys. Sometimes you just got to push through, win your side, and then push across to help your teammates. The time it takes a battleship to go from one side of the map to the other is absolutely insane, even on a short map like this. So win your side, and then take advantage of any extra shots. Now, because we're kind of centrally located here, we're going to slow down our push and try to get some targets of opportunity against the enemy. And of course, because I'm looking, naturally, none of them are going to be lit up. Now, we are given a little bit too much of a broadside here, so we're going to start to straighten out. You can see because we slowed down, he wasn't expecting it. He missed most of his shots, and we are now going to be angled pretty well against him. And there's another Jean Bart here, so we're going to have two Jean Barts. This one's broadside as hell, and this is not going to be a good day for you. Yeah, you do not want to find yourself in this location, and we're using our reversed reload booster here. So we go ahead, we get loaded, and so we put out another round. He's starting to slow down, so we're just going to aim a little further back and try to get some more damage. Sure enough, we get another nasty hit, taking about a third of his health in that first exchange. So not bad. Now, again, we are turned. We are trying to battle tank as best we can both of the Jean Barts. We are not wanting to give up a broadside. We want to give them an angle. However, because the Jean Bart, it has such good armor piercing and such tight grouping on its accuracy, you're still going to take considerable damage, but not nearly as much damage as this guy who's broadside on is. Okay, you do not want to be in this position in any battleship, let alone a Jean Bart. Now, that being said, you can see we are just absolutely chunking him. Before he can get himself to a position where he no longer is in the threat of getting obliterated. And of course, in true me fashion, I get hit one time and he knocks out one of my guns. So you gotta love that. Maybe that was what he's aiming for. If so, kudos to him. It's good strategy against Jean Barts because they only get 2 of them. So knocking out half of my firepower just as I'm about to be loaded is pretty rough. And as you can see, the other Jean Bart has YOLO'd forward, and he's going to be in a world of trouble. And again, we back off. We managed to get a little bit further away just in time, not losing the turret completely. We've still got to wait for it to reload, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes. And we get some nice hits on the Jean Bart, and now the fire commences from my teammates. And just being in a position to absorb hits from both of these Jean Barts allows my teammates to be able to hit them back without, you know, having to worry about whether they're going to get obliterated for their trouble. And so it's so much easier to play aggressively in a battleship because you don't have to worry as much. You're going to take damage, you're going to take hits, but the only thing that you really need to worry about is making sure you're not giving the broadside of your ship to people and that you're not going to put yourself in a bad position and get torped. Torpedoes are your worst nightmare when you are broadsided. Ouch! That hurt. That was a lot of shells, and they actually hurt, and it was high explosive. Somebody out there wants a paddling. Oh, speaking of which, hi! How you doing, Colorado? You're broadside on to a Jean Bart. I don't know what you're thinking, but you're wrong. So we're just going to go ahead and push up. Now that we have secured this side, the only thing over there is a destroyer. We've got a cruiser in position to deal with him. We got a battleship in position to deal with him. And we're just going to push up and try to get rid of this Colorado. Now, Colorado's still not deciding to turn away. Is now turning back to giving us a flat broadside. Not quite flat, but pretty close. And, yes, that's what happens when you give a Jean Bart that much side of your ship, especially in a Colorado. He's lucky he didn't get Citadel there, because he'd already be dead. But we're going to go ahead and send out another salvo. As you can see, we just used our reload booster, and unfortunately, we hit so far forward that it was actually insane, and somehow that's the one that had the Citadel. I have no idea how that was a Citadel, but I'll take it. Maybe they felt bad for us with this last salvo. They're like, oh my god, how can we not give them a Citadel? But, yeah, didn't end up going so well for them. Now, I'm pushing up. We've got our propulsion going, and we have 115,000 damage, just in case you hadn't noticed. It doesn't take long in the Jean Bart to put up those kinds of numbers when you have targets that are just presenting a broadside. This thing will chew you up, and even if you're bow tanking, this thing is fully capable of putting up 20,000 damage through your superstructure because of the sheer amount of hits that it receives or that it can dish out. Unlike most battleships where you only get 1 or 2 hits, the Jean Bart is very, very capable of landing half or full salvos on target. It's actually ridiculous when it happens. And speaking of which, yeah, there's another 10,000. That was 7 out of the 8 rounds that we just shot. Yeah. See what I mean? Sure, we're only 5 kilometers away, but still, he wasn't exactly giving a broadside. And we managed to penetrate 5 of those shells. And now he is giving a broadside. This isn't going to go well for you. And actually, for whatever reason, we shatter a shell, and we get 3 overpins this time, because he's broadside on, and I'm not allowed to not overpin, apparently. Even with these smaller guns for the French. But we now know who hit us with that high explosive, right? This guy absolutely riddled us earlier, so let's pay him back. Yeah, that was not going to be a bad thing. 5 penetrations, 1 shatter, the end of the game. We managed to show you guys, hopefully, that the Jean Bart is fully capable of pushing up and getting into one hell of a fight. 150,000 damage, top of the leaderboard, 2,600 base XP, 2 kills, not bad. And it wasn't even difficult. So if you like what we're doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.